Hi, everybody. We are live. Welcome to Sunday night live stream. Tonight, I do have a special guest. I'm just going to go through a couple of things before I bring her on. Welcome, everybody. If this is your very first time here, my name is Anita, and I want you to know that it's never too late to change your life and that food is medicine, and you can heal yourself by following the proper human diet, single ingredient foods. That's what we talk about on this channel. That's what we all do. I have some moderators here. I have Bonnie, Melissa, and Sherry. They will be in the live chat. They will be welcoming you, providing links, all that kind of stuff. And so let's get on with our guest. I did want to also mention that by using food as medicine, I have lost 145 pounds to this point in time, and you can do it too. It hasn't been easy, but we're here to help. So whatever we can do to encourage you, please ask. That's what we do. So I'm going to bring our guest on because I'm so excited. Serena, hi, how are you?
Hi.
I'm
Able to
so
participate.
glad you're here.
Thank you. Me too. This was such a nice thing to plan. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Perfect. So we met in person a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I've known about you for so long on YouTube, and I haven't been on Instagram, but I've recently got back on Instagram. So I am seeing you now on Instagram. We do have your contacts below for Instagram and YouTube. But we met in person a couple of weeks ago in Tennessee, and it was very exciting because all of a sudden you were just there in front of me, and I'm like, I know you,
Oh, same here.
even though we'd never met, it sort of felt like we knew each other. So
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
kind of the cool thing, I guess, about
Yeah.
us. The cool and the weird thing about social media is that you meet
That's right.
people and it's like you know them.
I know.
So,
The internet's
um,
really weird.
yeah, it is, isn't it? I mean, I felt that way about a lot of people. I was like, oh my goodness, they're so and so, they're so and so. I'm
I know.
fangirling, and then they're
Yeah.
fangirling back, and I guess we all kind of do it. So it's
Yeah.
fun though.
So much fun.
So I would like to have you talk about your story, like how what happened to bring you to carnivore? What were you like before? What has changed? Take a few minutes to walk us through that, because I don't have too many details about your
Okay.
story, and so I'm thinking that probably my audience doesn't either. So
Okay.
would you do that first?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
awesome.
So who I was before was a chronic dieter, a chronic undereater, like most women who are watching their weight or trying to lose weight. There are lots of women that are actually very overweight that are chronic restrictors,
Oh
not
yeah.
even eating enough for a toddler. And so that's who I was. I bought my first diet pills when I was 12, and I dieted pretty much every day since then, except for when I was pregnant. And then I gained 80 pounds with my first pregnancy. I did learn a little bit from that one. And then I gained 60, 50, and 40. So that's what happens when I'm not dieting. And so that was a hard realization for me when I had gained all that weight while um, in the back of my mind, always trying to lose that last 10 or 15 or
Yeah.
20 pounds. And so being pregnant was difficult for me as the weight was coming on. That was kind of hard for me, and knowing that I wasn't eating right. And so I was bulimic though for probably 20 years, and starting when I was 18, I guess. And then even once that stopped, I was still always binging and restricting. So, I would binge for several days and eat a bunch of stuff, and then I would, not eat for 3 days, or just whatever, just juice fast, or like I was always doing something. And you name the diet, I had tried it, from the cabbage soup diet to Weight Watchers to water fasting and juice fasting. I mean, I literally had tried everything over the years. And at the beginning of the pandemic, I got sick, and I had what's called parosmia, and it's distorted taste and smell.
Mm.
And that is very life altering. There were many things I couldn't eat. I couldn't eat fruits and vegetables. I couldn't eat most meats. sugar was the only thing that tasted and smelled good to me. And that was hard because I was already a sugar addict. And
Right.
now I was giving myself permission to basically just eat sugar because it was literally the only thing. Garlic, onion, peanut butter, coffee, all fruits and vegetables, and most meats, eggs tasted and smelled that way, cheese. It was just, it, things tasted and smelled like a rotten skunk carcass somebody had lit on fire. That's how I
Oh.
described it right after it happened. It was so horrible and life altering that I was crying every day. I was depressed. I didn't understand what was happening. So I started doing research and I found people in Facebook groups and support groups that were, some of them were not eating. They couldn't eat anything. So they were on feeding tubes in the hospital. And then there was the other side of the spectrum where people had gained 100 pounds in 6 months because all they could eat was sugar. And so my 30 eighth birthday rolled around, and my girls are incredible bakers, and I've been gluten free for a long time, and they have a gluten free cupcake recipe that is just the best thing I've ever eaten in my whole life. And so they were going to make me cupcakes for my birthday, and I said, double the batch, because that's where I was. I was going to binge on those
Mm.
cupcakes. I mean, I was having such a hard time keeping foods down. I would spend, the day in bed sick after smelling something at a restaurant that we went to. I mean, I was really, really in a bad place. And so I got up that morning with my husband. So my birthday was on Saturday, and they made me the cupcakes, and I ate 20 cupcakes in 36 hours. It was just kind of
Oh.
grazing throughout, Saturday and Sunday, walking through the kitchen and picking up a cupcake. It wasn't like, gorging myself. And I think that's an important note. People picture binging like, the overweight person surrounded by food, just kind of shoveling food in. And that's not what it's always like. Sometimes it can be throughout a day or a couple of days where you just like eat only the cupcakes or only the cake or only ice cream or whatever. That's still considered, binging. And so over the weekend, I ate all those cupcakes, and I woke up Monday morning and went running. I came home and I was sitting outside in the sun relaxing, and I thought, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta cut the
Mm.
sugar out. This is the carbs. It's killing me. I mean, I was miserable. And so I decided that I was gonna just eat meat. And the only meats that I could eat was a New York strip fresh off the grill and a fresh hamburger. Like I couldn't even refrigerate them and then take them out and heat them the next day. Some sort of weird chemical reaction made them smell and taste rotten. And so I decided I was going to do that. And I laid there for like an hour listening to a book, sitting in the sun. And then I thought, can I even do this? Like, what's going to happen to me if I just eat the steak and the hamburger that I can eat? And so I Googled it. And sure enough, I found, the Shawn Baker podcast with Joe Rogan and then Kelly Hogan. And I found you and I found Laura Spath. I found all these people with big accounts at that point. And I just was like, wait a minute. These people are only eating meat. Like, how long have they been doing this? Like, and you hear the stories, right? At that point, it had been multiple years for Laura Spath. For Kelly Hogan, it had been something like 15 years, if you include the first four where she ate, just a few other things. But I was watching these people and I was thinking, these people look healthy. How is that possible? And so it was out of necessity for me. It wasn't to lose weight. It wasn't to get healthy. I had read, at that point, I was listening to all these videos and I was hearing about the healing that can come with something like carnivore. And I had done a 5 day water fast at one point before this, like maybe 3 or 4 weeks before this. I had done a 5 day water fast for the autophagy, and it fixed it. Like the taste and smell thing went away for a whole 48 hours, and then it came right back just as bad. It was
Oh
horrible.
wow.
And I
That
was
that's
so,
interesting.
yeah, I was so sad. Like within 48 hours, I was crying again. I was like, how can this be? And so I had read that carnivore can kind of do the same thing without being hungry. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to do this and see if this helps me heal faster. Now, did it help me heal faster? We'll never know because I don't know how I would have healed had I not become carnivore. But I know that I was happier right off the bat because I was spending my days like wallowing around, smelling things in the refrigerator, like, trying things. Like we would go to a restaurant and I would order something and just like hope for the best. Um, and it, obviously it didn't work. And so that was really hard. And like, I mean, I went to people's homes that they were making a beef roast, and I had to leave.
Oh
I
wow.
was at a friend's house one time. I homeschool my kids, and we had gone to somebody's house to do school, and she was making like chicken tenders for the kids or something like that, and I had to leave. I was on the couch with like doubled over. It made my stomach. The smell made my stomach hurt so bad, even though the smell that I'm smelling doesn't actually exist, right? So it's this weird, like it's in my head, but it's not something that I can fix. It's a neurological thing. They say that it's like if you have one of those big like fiber optic wires, where
Yep.
there's 1,000 wires in there. If you cut them and then you attached them to the wrong wires is what's happening. And so it's neurological. It takes time. I tried every supplement I read about in that Facebook group. I even bought a red light therapy thing that you stick up your nose that's supposed to help, and that didn't work either. So then I
Oh,
just quit buying
wow.
things, and I said, I'm going to quit with the supplements. I just have to deal with this until it goes away, which was, another hard step for me to kind of let it go. And so I was carnivore for about 6 months before I was able to eat chicken. Eggs happened somewhere within, from the maybe like 3 to 4 month period. Um, and it just like very slowly would get just a little bit better here and there.
Wow.
And it was 2 years and 8 months before it cleared up. 2 years and 8 months.
Wow.
All of
That
those things tasted, smelled that way. So I had to give up coffee. I couldn't use garlic. I couldn't use onion. Like it was a really hard place to be. And that's better now. But I was about 6 months into carnivore when I heard somebody talk about the difference between an abstainer and a moderator. And
okay.
that was my light bulb moment, right? I remember sitting in my basement watching an Instagram video and being like, what? Wait, this is a thing? Like an abstainer versus, so I'm an abstainer. That's why I never ate just one Oreo. That's why I ate 20 cupcakes, right? Because I can't have just one. And so it was a really eye-opening moment for me. And it was in that
Hmm.
moment that I realized that I was better, that I wasn't sick anymore, that I didn't have an eating disorder anymore, that I wasn't binging and then restricting, that I wasn't like, that I was well for the first time
Wow.
in since I was 12, probably. It was in that moment that I realized the shackles and chains from the eating disorder and disordered eating were gone. And I was eating a lot of food. At that point, not at that point, I wasn't eating so much food. At that point, I was actually gaining weight on carnivore. I actually gained 18 pounds in the first 8 months because I was eating too little and fasting too much, which I hear happens to a lot of people if they're
Yes,
getting
that's a
fat or
common
lean. Yeah,
story.
it's a common thing because you feel so full, but also I was fasting for my taste and smell, and I was in a group that really recommended a lot of fasting, and so I was just trying everything, and I was trying too much, I think. So I
Okay.
was restricting, and then I was fasting. And so, although I had the light bulb moment where I realized it, that I was better, that I wasn't having the eating disorders and disordered eating, I still was way under eating. It was for health reasons, though. I thought, oh, fasting is good, right? And then I thought that I was eating a lot on my eating days, but I really wasn't. And I just didn't see that until later. And so
Okay.
once I realized at about the 8 month mark that I was under eating, I did the reverse dieting thing where I raised my calories. I did that for about a month and got to about 2,000 calories. And I ate that for several months. And then I was able to reduce it a little bit and lose 35 pounds, is what I ended up losing. I did gain a little bit of it back over the next about year and a half. Just I think being like once you're out of weight loss mode,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
like things just feel different and you tend to overindulge in the cheese maybe, or,
Yep.
maybe I wasn't exercising as much. And so I did gain a little bit back, but it's coming off now. And so I'm happy about that. But yeah, so that's my story. So it took me almost 2 years, I think it was, or a year and a half to lose the weight. And I was really, really happy with that. Like the fact that I wasn't dieting anymore and I
Yeah.
wasn't having to restrict myself. And just, I know a lot of people think that this is a restrictive diet. But what they don't understand is that it truly has given us food freedom. Those of us that
Yeah.
struggled with eating disorders, disordered eating, binge eating, carb addiction, this gives us the food freedom that we need. And I think for me anyway, and I don't know if it's like this for you or your viewers, but I feel like compartmentalizing my food and saying I'm only going to eat these foods is what gave me the food freedom that I now have. It's that I
It's a
don't
real
have to worry about,
paradox, isn't
yeah,
it?
right? Like I don't have
Yeah.
to worry about those other options anymore because those I don't eat those things. And
Yeah.
so I think it has really helped me to have just eat things like from the animal kingdom, right? That
Yeah.
has just made such a big difference to me in my head, I guess, because I helped my girls make cupcakes today for graduation. I wasn't tempted, I wasn't phased at all by those cupcakes, right? And I ate 20 of those in 36 hours a few years ago, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wasn't, it was actually, uh, it'll be, it'll be 3 years on the 22nd because that's my birthday. So it was the 22nd and 23rd, 3 years ago that I ate all of those cupcakes and I became a carnivore on the 24th.
Wow.
And I mean, I'm not going to say I haven't struggled at all. This past Christmas was the worst for me. I mean, it was it was bad. It was 4 days of allowing myself to eat whatever I wanted and being miserable. I cried all Christmas morning because I felt so bad. I felt
Oh,
miserable. I
wow.
was sad. I was depressed. I was, I mean, it was just terrible to feel that way on Christmas Day. And it took me about 4.5 days to stop total. And then once I did, within a few days, I was, feeling encouraged again and feeling more like myself. And the carb,
Yeah.
the fog was gone, and I was so fogged over on Christmas Day. And so, anyway, yeah, so that's pretty much my story, I guess. And I
Okay.
feel
Well,
amazing now. I'm going to be 51, and I exercise and I lift weights and I walk and do a little bit of sprinting, and I have all kinds of energy. I can get up and down off the floor easily, and I have friends my age who have a hard time doing that.
yeah, I
And I
know.
just want to be healthy for my kids and future grandkids and be able to get up
Yeah.
and down off the floor and play and stuff like that. So I'm on the road to that, I think.
Yes, well, you are, and thank you for sharing that. So maybe we can talk about your kids and your family, how that has have they been supportive of what do they think of the fact that you are carnivore?
They think I'm a little nuts,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning. Like, it actually took a year for me to even really talk about it. Like, they
Okay.
knew that I was being restrictive, but it was the smell and taste thing, so nobody really questioned it. They didn't realize that I was literally only eating meat because I was making the foods and I would put
Yes.
dinner on the table and I just ate what I could eat and I just didn't, I mean, I talked about it. I talked about the smell and taste issue, but I didn't talk about carnivore. And at that point, I was already not trying new foods very often. Every now and then I would take one bite of something
Mm.
and or get it close to my face and smell it and say, no, I can't eat
Oh,
that.
wow.
And so they're pretty supportive, but they don't really understand. And so my husband is mostly carnivore, but my kids are not. The two that I still feed are 17 and 15, and they eat pretty good. They're not perfect by any means,
Hmm.
but the variations of things that I buy them are better than typical. Most of the foods in our house are gluten free. They eat like gluten free pretzels. And the truth is, if you're going to eat a pretzel, gluten free is probably the best. A gluten free, most of the time, the gluten free varieties of things have less ingredients and less preservatives than the normal versions of those same foods. And I'm not sure why that is, but they
Okay.
actually taste better too. So even like the Oreos, for instance, they taste much better in the gluten-free version than the regular version does. Way less ingredients, way better for you. If you're going to eat that, eat the gluten-free version. But anyway, so they do eat some of those foods, not very often, but they do eat them. They're pretty meat heavy, though. They're pretty protein heavy. Breakfast usually, every meal includes protein, and so they're older. I also have a 21-year-old and a 23-year-old, and one of them is the 23-year-old is married. 21-year-old just does his own thing all the time. He lives here, but he feeds himself most of the time. And so the younger two, I just have to hope that I'm a good example and that they see how I am doing and eventually want to do what I'm doing. I mean, I just have to be a good
Hmm.
example and show them how healthy I am, how healthy I feel. I share my blood work results with them. We talk about everything. And so I just have to hope that I can be that example that eventually they will, come over. I don't think everybody needs to be carnivore, but hopefully they'll come over to a more ketogenic side eventually. And so I just have to be a good example and hope for that.
Yeah, that's what I hope for. I think all of us moms hope for that for our
Yeah.
kids too. I mean,
Hmm.
I have one that's a vegetarian, and
Yeah.
so I worry a little bit, but he
Yeah.
does eat eggs and butter and
Well, that's good.
dairy. So I feel like okay, there's some animal
There's
stuff
something
going
there.
in. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, it's hard. It's hard to to want that good health that we're
Yeah.
feeling. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. I want that for everybody. And so
Yes,
that makes
I
it
I
hard because
agree.
the realization, and I'm not sure if you and I talked about this, but several of us talked about this at the retreat, like we can't save everyone. And that's
No,
unfortunate. But we
yeah,
can't. Everybody is not going to be willing to give this a try.
that's
And
right.
that's sad. And
Yeah, I
that's really
know.
sad.
I know.
Because
I
if
mean,
I
all we
hadn't did it,
can do is present ourselves and our
yes.
stories to the world and hope that some of them are touched by it or moved
Right.
by
Yeah,
it or, you know.
absolutely. Yeah.
So, yeah. So now with your kids too, you guys, let's go there because I always love a family business. Like you guys have started the Tallow business, and I have to tell you that when I first ever thought of putting beef tallow on my face, I didn't like it. I didn't like the idea of it,
I agree.
but now I'm addicted to it. Like it is so softening. Like this, like I just love it. So tell us how you got into that, and just a little bit about that whole thing,
Yeah.
your company
Um,
and everything.
yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned my girls are good bakers. They had a gluten-free baking business for years. They still take special orders, but they don't. They used to set up at our farmers market. I think it was for 5 summers. They started when they were 9 and 11, and I used to go
Wow,
help them, right? Because they were little. So I would just sit behind them and answer questions that they didn't know the answers to, cut up their samples for them. I mean, like they they still didn't use sharp knives. That's how young they were when they started this gluten-free baking business. They just wanted to save up. They just wanted to save up some money. They wanted like a lemonade stand, and I was like, "How
right?
about a cookie business?" And so we just started making. They just started making cookies, and they were doing it all themselves, even at 9 and 11. Like I would be in the kitchen, and I would like clean up after them. But so they were setting up at the farmers market, and I had to be there. But by the time the third summer rolled around, they didn't need me anymore, really, right? They were 11 and 13 at that point, and they had been doing this for 2 years. So I needed to be at the farmers market because I'm not going to leave them there. But I didn't need to be with them at their booth. And so I asked the manager if I could have a booth. And this was during the pandemic. And so I was selling mask spray. I've taught essential oils classes for
Hmm.
years, probably 12 or 13 years. So I had spent a lot of time in the wellness industry teaching classes and teaching people how to clean their houses naturally and use the essential oils for natural health care. And so that was right up my alley. And I knew, people wanted something to help them with those stinky masks.
Yeah, yeah.
So I started making mask spray and selling it. And then when that kind of wore off, I was selling like decorative spoons and some coconut oil lotion that I would whip and turn into lotion. And those did pretty well. And then I heard something about tallow lotion, and I thought, beef fat on your face? Like, really? And at that
It
point, I was
doesn't
already a
sound right,
carnivore.
does it?
I know. I was already a carnivore and that's how I heard about it. Somebody in the carnivore space had mentioned it, and I thought, that just sounds so gross to me. And so I went ahead and tried. I started using it myself first and really liked the way it felt. I was still a little bit grossed out by it, but I really liked how it felt. And so like a month later, the farmers market was starting back up again, and so I still had a booth, and so I just started making tallow lotions with a label on top, with my name and phone number on it, and started selling that, and it did really well. People were pleasantly surprised. I was really surprised at how many people would try it. Like I would say, "Would you like to try my beef tallow lotion?" And people would say, "What did you say? Beef what? Oh, what?" Like people would question me, like, "What did you say?" And they would put it on, and then like people would ask me like they had misheard me, and they thought that I had said something else, and then when I told them, they were like, "That's beef fat." Like people were completely confused by it.
Yeah.
And but it sold really well. And so then I just started every now and then posting it on my Instagram page saying, I made another batch of lotion, and it started selling. And then and I would sell, I mean, I would sell quite a bit of it. It was a fun, little hobby. And then last fall I went to the Power Puck people. You had some of their Power Pucks
Yep.
at
Yep.
the retreat. So I went to their house for a meetup, for basically a meat eating party, and I got to stay in their house with them. Me and several people got to stay in their house with them, and we had the big meat party and stuff. And on the last day, we were talking about business and stuff. We were talking about, I had brought lotions for people there, as giveaways and stuff. And so we started talking about it. And I watched him and his wife do this business together. And it's a great product. If you've never had Power Pucks before, they're amazing. Thepowerpuck.com, they're so good. And so we just started talking about business. He started telling me about his label maker, and I should get one, and Shopify, and what a great website store it is to have. And so I listened to him and I watched them, and I just thought, why am I not doing that? Why am I not doing that? Why am I not selling my lotions like that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
within a couple of weeks of when I got home, I bought a label maker. I created a Shopify website instead of the other website that I had been using, and started really promoting it and boosting some reels for
Yep.
advertisements and things like
Hmm.
that. And about a month later, I changed the name to Purely Tallow because my YouTube channel is the Carnivore Revolution, and so my lotion just had that name on the top of it. And then I thought,
Right.
well, if I want to appeal to a wider audience, and I do, that I would change the name. So I, came up with kind of a generic. It was Simply Tallow at first, and then I changed the name to Purely Tallow because Simply Tallow was taken like on every platform, and nobody's
Oh.
using it. It's an old name that they're not using
Oh.
anymore.
Okay.
But I couldn't get it. I tried. I asked. and they never answered me. And so I switched it to Purely Tallow. So some of you out there might have a jar that says Simply Tallow on it. But I changed it to Purely Tallow and started more advertising campaigns and things like that. And Purely Tallow was born. And so it's been really neat to come up with all the different ideas and the different products and things like that. My girls, my 15 and 17-year-olds are like the backbone to this business. Like if I didn't have them, I couldn't do it the way I'm doing it. So if you ever send me a message and I say, let me check with the shipping department, it's them.
That's them.
We are. I was recently sick in bed for 9 days with COVID. Oh, with the sickness that shall not be named. I always try not to say it.
It's okay.
So I
We
was
won't
sick in
get
bed.
booted off.
Yeah, I was sick in bed for 9 days, and I woke up on Tuesday morning. It had been like 4 days at that point, and I
Mhm.
started crying because I was like, this was not on my schedule for today. I have
No.
orders to get out. I expected to feel better by Tuesday, and I don't know why I thought that because the first time I had it, it was 11 days in bed. The second time was 9 days, and this was my third time. But I just knew that I was going to feel better by Tuesday. And so I was texting them, they were downstairs. I was by myself in my room for 9 full days.
Oh
And
boy.
they said, don't worry about it. You print the orders from the computer up there because I had my laptop with me. They said, you print the orders and we'll send them out. And they did. They sent out
Wow.
many orders, like 45 or 50 orders for me while I was upstairs in bed.
I'm
Really amazing. I
so
was
impressed with you. I mean, they have been entrepreneurs since they were 11,
I
since they were
know.
preteens. That's
Yeah, so they've
amazing.
done this before. They know what we're
Wow.
doing. And like I said, they don't set up at the farmers market anymore, but they do help me with the lotions. They help me a
Yeah,
lot. We have, lotion making days where they sit at the table putting labels on,
good
all the
for
jars
them.
for me while I'm, behind them in the kitchen making up all the lotions. We're still doing this in
Yeah,
our house for
yeah.
now. Um, and it keeps us pretty busy and it's really been a lot of fun. The products have been fun to create. We use things like wild camel hump fat. So the base is usually grass-fed beef tallow, but we
Yeah.
do have some products that we've expanded on that a little bit. And I'm trying to kind of set myself apart from the other tallow companies. A lot of them use olive oil and jojoba oil and even
Mm-hmm.
coconut oil in theirs. And those things
Mm-hmm.
might be good for your skin. I haven't done a lot of research. I'm sure they're good for your skin, but I'm trying to kind of set myself apart. And
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to add anything except the tallow to a whipped tallow lotion. I just don't see the benefit of adding any of those other things. So my whipped tallow is just the grass-fed beef tallow, unless you get a scented one, which has only the best doTERRA essential oils in it. They're very lightly scented. They're not
Mm-hmm.
overpowering at all. The rose oil collection has rose oil that I ordered straight from a plantation in Bulgaria. So that's my newest line of products is the Bulgarian rose. And I
Yes,
have
you
things
had
like,
some of that at the retreat,
yes,
and it was nice. I mean,
smells really good. And
yeah.
it's not overpowering. The rose oil is a little bit stronger than a lot of the other essential oils, but it's not overpowering at all. So I just kind of lightly scent them with things like Madagascar vanilla. I have jasmine, lavender anti-aging that
Mm-hmm.
has blue tansy oil in it, which is really good for your skin. So,
That's the
like
one I
I
have.
spend time trying to decide which.
Yeah.
That's the one you have, right?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
the anti-aging?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I spend time trying to decide like which scents to make. And because I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot about the essential oils, I can choose the ones that I know are specifically good for your skin. And then there's an oil facial cleanser that does have a little bit of castor oil in it because it helps to clean off your makeup and things like that. And that one also has wild camel hump fat in it and some emu oil in it because those are really good for cleansing and moisturizing and healing your skin. So there's a lot of products in the line. I also have grass-fed beef tallow candles that also have beeswax in them. And so it's time to start ditching the toxins. It's time to start every place we can reduce our toxic load from cleaning products, which you can use essential oils for, to your lotions. Those things are endocrine disruptors. Those things once you pile on all of the toxins throughout the day from cleaning products and
Mm-hmm.
makeup and lotion
Mm-hmm.
and air fresheners and laundry detergent and that fresh laundry smell that we all love so much from the fabric softener, that's actually the number
Um,
one cause of indoor air pollution. It's really, really bad for you. And so if you're suffering from autoimmune issues or infertility or your kids have ADD or ADHD, those toxins that we put on us, along with all of the processed foods and the sugar, all of that causes us to be sick. And so every little bit, so it like causes your bucket to overflow.
yeah.
That's what I like to say. Like
Yeah.
you pile all these things on inside your bucket or your body, and it starts to overflow, and we get things like ADD, ADHD, brain fog, autoimmune
Yeah.
diseases. We get all of those things. And if you can like pull it back just a little bit by reducing all of those things or any of those things, you can pull it back and some of those symptoms might start to disappear. And
Yeah.
so it's a real passion of mine to get people to use natural products instead of the toxic products that are making so many people sick. I was watching TV the other day and there was a like a Skittles or an M&M commercial followed by a medicine commercial, followed by like a plugins commercial. All three
Yeah.
of those things are toxic. All three of those things are making us sick. And
And you see
so
them spraying the stuff in the air to make the house smell fresh
they
and
love how it
breathing it in.
smells.
Our
Mhm.
skin is our biggest organ, and I
Yes.
think a lot of people forget that. And so what
Yes.
we put on it, and that's why I was, really happy to try. I've been actually using castor oil for a
Yeah.
while, but I find it goopy. It's a little thick,
Yes, it is.
but the tallow is not that way at all,
Yeah.
and my skin is softer from
Mhm.
using the tallow. So I just love it. I can see that that's going to be, what I use from now on. I just,
Yeah.
I don't see any point in buying a store bought order.
Right.
So, or like a store bought
Right. And it lasts a long
moisturizer.
time too. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the 2 ounce jar will last, gosh, it'll last 2 or 3 months for that 2 ounce
Yeah.
jar of lotion. If you're just using it, on your face, obviously if you use it on the rest of your body, it's not going to last quite as long, but it's worth it, right? I mean, I feel
Hmm.
like it's worth it to eliminate some of those toxins and put something fresh and clean on your baby or your
Yeah.
children. Like it can be used as diaper rash cream even.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
it's so important to stop using all of the toxins. And so I have multiple products that help you eliminate some of those products. Instead of soap, you can use the facial oil cleanser. And then there's a night cream that has the different fats in it that are
Hmm.
so good for restoring your skin and
Oh, you have a night
repairing.
cream. I didn't know.
Yeah, the night
Okay.
cream is, it has, I don't
Yeah,
know if I have one.
show us some of your stuff, because
Okay.
the picture that I had was your old name, so I don't
Yes, it
want to.
had the old name on it. I
Yeah,
should have sent
yeah.
you one.
That's
So
okay.
this is the whipped tallow lotion. And so, can you
Yeah,
see
we
how
can see
it's
it. Yeah. It's so white and creamy,
light?
like, and
Yeah.
light. It's so light. I just love
Yeah,
it.
it looks a lot like whipped cream and actually
Yeah,
feels a little bit like whipped cream.
it does. It
And
does.
so it's really light
But it
and it
goes right into
absorbs.
your skin.
Yes, it absorbs so quickly that you can
Yeah.
just like immediately do your makeup. I also have some that comes in a squeeze tube. It's now a white squeeze tube because the black ones have been out of stock for months. But
Okay.
this one is the tallow mixed with some emu oil, so that if for people who don't mind the plastic, it's BPA free plastic, but it just squeezes out, which
Okay.
is really nice. So this is portable. You can take this with you. You can't really like it's hard to travel with the whipped tallow because if it melts, you can still use it, but it won't be whipped anymore, which is fine because who really
Okay.
travels with their with their lotion anyway?
Right.
Except if you're on vacation, it's going to be in an air conditioned place anyway, so it doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stable at room temperature for about a year, sometimes longer than that, but that's what I tell people is about a year. And it's not going to last a full year because you're going to use it because you're going to love it so much. And then I also have the facial oil cleanser here. It's a completely different texture. It's it's not whipped, so it's just kind of a different
Yep. Yep.
texture there. So there's a repair and restore one of those that has Roman chamomile, frankincense, and lavender in it, which are all really good for your skin. So those are some of the products I have. I also have beard and hair oil and a spray lotion that's made with emu oil
I
and
want to talk
tallow.
about hair for a second, because
Okay.
you said something to me at the retreat that blew my mind. When's the last time you washed your hair?
About 13 months ago.
Explain. Explain it. Because people are sitting
So
there right now going,
I, I know. So I had seen other people talk about it, just about how good it is for your hair to not wash it,
mm-hmm.
how bad the shampoos, and even if you get like a shampoo like I used to buy, like I thought I was buying a natural one, paraben free, you can sulfate free and all that stuff.
Right.
And my hair has always been a little bit wavy, but nothing like this. And so I decided that I was going to quit washing it. And I heard that it's a couple of weeks might be a little bit rough. And so I just wore a headband for a couple of weeks. My scalp got a tiny bit itchy, but it went away. And I would get it wet. I would get in the shower and I would like scrub my scalp and stuff and just get it wet, but I wouldn't put anything on it. And so I think I probably went a month or a month and a half at that point. And then I read that you can use apple cider vinegar to just kind of cleanse it. And so I started doing that maybe once every 2 weeks. And other than that, I just kind of get it wet in the shower and like scrunch it to help it to curl, but I have never had like these spiral curls like this before. And so
You,
I am convinced that it is from not having the weight of, and I am using products. I'm using some natural, almost like a gel and a spray conditioner that I bought
okay.
from a company called Inasi, I think it is. I found them on Instagram. They have an unscented version of their products. And so I use that on occasion just to kind of hold it kind of in place. And it's just
Your
amazing. But
earlier videos, I remember you having straight hair.
yeah. Yeah, it was
So,
almost straight. Like it was a little bit wavy. I should make a
yeah,
comparison. I'll make a picture and share it on Instagram. I
yeah.
haven't talked about it a lot, but like this is sending us back, to before we had all of the fancy, expensive shampoos and conditioners that are garbage. They're toxic. I mean, it soaks into your scalp where your brain is, right? I mean, that can't be good. And so when you look at it like that, even the natural products are not really natural. I mean, if it's got a list of 20 or 30 ingredients, is that really,
Yeah.
eh, so anyway, so yeah, it's been about 13 months since I washed my hair and it's never been healthier. It's never been curlier. So I use apple cider vinegar sometimes I do it once a week, but it's usually more like every 2 weeks. And I get it wet in the shower, not every
Hmm.
day, but almost every day. And I'll scrub my scalp, and get everything, kind of cleaned up. And then I just let it dry. I was using a diffuser for a while, but
Okay.
one day I didn't have time and I actually liked it better without the diffuser. It didn't get like quite as fluffy without the diffuser. And so now I just kind of let it dry and then I just kind of play with it and squeeze it to keep the
It's
curls in
amazing
for
because, I mean,
13
I saw
months.
you in person. Your hair doesn't look,
Does
like
it
it needs to
smell?
be washed. No. Like your hair looked to me like that's the way it should be. It didn't there was nothing weird or smelly about it. Like I assure you guys, I gave her lots of hugs at the retreat
Yeah,
and
I don't smell bad or anything.
no,
I
no.
know a lady who sees me all the time at the grocery store right near our house saw me this morning and I hadn't like done it yet. I had gotten out of the shower and it was still
Yep.
kind of wet. So when it's wet because of the little bit of gel, the natural gel that I'm using, it gets hard like when you put shampoo on it.
Yeah.
So I had all these like hard ringlets. She said, "What have you done to your hair? It has changed so much lately. Did you get a perm?" I said, "No, I just don't wash it anymore." She goes, "What?"
No, right? I mean, that's the reaction that I had too. Like
I
I was
know.
like
People just
because
look at me
but
like they misheard me.
I think a lot of people though things have changed since COVID, because I used to take a shower, wash my hair daily, and now I work from home. I don't go out much, so I
Right.
thought I was a renegade, only washing it once a
Right.
week.
No, you're behind the times.
I know I'm behind the times. I have to extend that window out now. So,
Yeah.
you know,
And there are
uh,
other people. There are other people too. The only one I can think of off the top of my head is Rebecca Heichman, Taylor
what?
Keto Health on Instagram. She doesn't wash her hair either, and she was the person that I was seeing most talk about it. And I sent her some
Okay.
messages. I was like, okay, fine, I'm just going to try it. And she
Wow.
was right. I mean, I can't imagine washing my hair at this point. If it ever got really dirty, like if I was ever in the mud,
Well,
let's
sure.
say,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
in quicksand, no, I think I would just use vinegar. Honestly, I don't want to start over again. Like your hair creates its own oils and keeps itself clean
Oh, wow.
like they
Yeah.
used to. And so I
Yeah.
don't want to start over. I don't want to wash that away. The vinegar really does the job. I mean, when I get out of the shower after I've put vinegar on my hair, it feels like it has conditioner in it. You'd be
That
amazed. You'd be
uh,
amazed.
Okay, so I have to go over to the questions now because we have 20
Okay,
minutes
go.
left and
Okay,
questions
go.
are piling up here.
Okay.
Okay, so let me, there's also a few highlighted comments here. Okay, welcome, Margaret, for becoming a member. Carmen has 2 eggs now. Oh, you're going to get bacon soon. This is an inside joke.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Okay. Okay. So is Jess still a? I don't know who Jess is, but I do remember you doing some stuff with
I did.
another person. Okay. Did you want to address that at all, or
Yeah,
is
that's
that
fine.
okay?
Jess just decided she didn't want to do the Carnivore Revolution anymore. We're still friends. We talk almost every day. I love her to
Nice.
pieces. We love each other. She's expecting, and so it kind of worked out. It would have been hard for her to continue to do the videos and the recordings and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was about a year ago she decided that she just didn't want to do it anymore. She got pretty big on Instagram. If you follow her over there, Jesslyn Randall. She got really big
Yeah,
over on
yeah.
Instagram, and that kind of keeps her busy. And so that's fine.
Okay.
Like I said, we love each other and we still talk all the time.
Okay, thanks, Carmen, for that question. Anne would like to know what was your total weight loss? I think you said the number.
Yeah, so including the weight that I gained at the beginning of carnivore, I lost 35 pounds. I ended up gaining back a whopping 17 pounds, which shocked me. I just wasn't counting my calories. I'm one of those people, I don't think I mentioned this. I kind of have to count calories to keep myself in check so I don't undereat. And so I think that was my problem. I think that's honestly why I gained back 17 pounds was as soon as I started counting my calories and eating more, like, and I wasn't hungry either. So that's what happens is if you stop eating so much, you start to not
Yeah.
be so hungry. Your metabolism slows down. That's part of what helped me to gain the weight was my metabolism slowed down. As soon as I started eating more, and it was hard for me in the beginning to get all of my calories in, but as soon as I started eating more, the weight started coming off. So I'm one of those people that has to count calories to be sure that I'm eating enough.
And it goes
And
the other
so,
way too. Some of us are volume
yes,
eaters,
that's true.
and
Yes,
so I
absolutely.
think that there's a surprising number of people, and a lot of times it's women that are pre and post menopausal that do find they need to keep an eye on that, even though the carnivore world says just eat all the meat you want and
That's
everything
right.
will work out.
That's right.
It
Some of
doesn't
us, I
always.
think
It
part of
doesn't
that is our,
always.
our hunger cues are all messed up. We don't know when we're full
Yes.
and we don't know when we're hungry. And I mean, even still, almost 3 years, I have to eat by the clock. I mean, I really
Yeah.
do because otherwise, like today, I'm doing Courtney Luna's sardine challenge with her. I can only do 2 days because we're having company come in town. But I ate sardines for breakfast and then we got busy and I haven't eaten again. And that's what happens to me on a normal basis if I'm not paying attention or if I'm
Yeah.
not tracking my calories.
Yeah.
And then we
And
got home and it was like 6 and I said, I don't like to eat this late, so I'm just going to skip it. And that's what I do on a regular
yeah.
basis. And so tomorrow I
Yeah.
have to be sure that I eat a lot more.
You're gonna have to eat 5 cans of sardines tomorrow now. Martha says your complexion and hair look so healthy. Thank you,
Thank
Martha.
you. Thank you so much. Except I don't know if you guys can see. I got a black eye.
Turn the other way.
Oh,
Turn
wrong eye.
turn the
Oh,
other way.
wrong way.
Yeah.
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 My dog gave me a black eye this
Oh,
afternoon by accident. So I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but
barely. We can.
I should at least mention it just in case you guys can see it.
Yeah. Yeah. Carnivore hippie is in the house.
Oh
Chef
yay.
Patty. Hello,
Hi
Chef
Patty.
Patty. She's going to be on the
Patty's an
channel
awesome
soon
cook.
too. Yes, she is. Yes, we love her meatloaf and her bone
Love it.
broth.
So good.
Okay. Deely, thank you for sharing your stories, Serena.
You're
Carmen says
welcome.
Purely Tallow is a better name.
Yeah,
That's
thank you. I
awesome.
agree.
Cheryl, this is a long journey of healing, and since I still have many health issues, I'm sure it's still going on. I mean, I don't think it ever stops. At least I
Yeah.
binge on carnivore to ketovore. Some of us
Yeah.
do that.
Right, absolutely. And I don't get me wrong, I have days where I overeat for sure,
Yeah, yeah.
especially like day before yesterday, yeah, I spent 4 hours making carnivore pizza. So a sausage crust and then a
There
crust
you
made
go.
out of
Yeah,
like a carnivore roll recipe. And that's hard for me. I always overeat the carnivore pizza when I make it. So don't get me wrong, there are days where I overeat for sure.
yeah.
But it never happens with steak and hamburgers. So I really should probably just stick with like regular meats like that. I always have a little bit of a problem with the replacement foods, but I don't have to feel so bad about it because it's still carnivore
Exactly.
foods. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. They're like a transition food, Some
Yeah.
people, you just need
Yeah.
them sometimes.
Yeah. Sometimes it's still good to have like a comfort
Yeah.
food.
Yeah. Danny loves your videos. Love you always, Anita. Thank you, Danny. Nice to see you here. Hope your dad's doing better. Layla, is the tallow for both face and body?
Sure. Yes. I call the blue lavender one, which has the blue tansy and the lavender, I call it anti-aging face cream, but they can almost all be used on your face. You just want to be careful with something like that has cinnamon in it. And the ingredients are all listed on the website. You can see which oils are in each one. You want to be careful with something that has peppermint in it or something that has a cinnamon in it. You don't want to get it too close to your eyes. But other
Yeah.
than that, they can pretty much all be used everywhere. The rose is great for everywhere, smells amazing. A few of the scents are actually available in a pump jar now, which is basically beef tallow that's diluted with emu oil to make it so it can fit through the pumper. And that one I have found is really great for using all over your body, but they can all be used anywhere.
Nice. Okay. Kim has just placed her order. She's
Oh,
excited to
yay, thank
try.
you. I actually saw
Yeah.
it come through while we were talking before.
Oh, great. Serena, is the tallow balm helpful for extremely dry skin? I'm turning into a crepe lizard. Oh, carnivore
Yeah.
collective, I understand.
Yes, absolutely. It's absolutely good for dry skin, eczema, psoriasis, diaper rash, rosacea, acne, and it's non-comedogenic, which means it doesn't clog your pores. You would think that where it's just like a straight fat that would clog your pores, but it doesn't. It's actually the opposite of that. And I am finding that using the facial oil cleanser and then either the night cream or the anti-aging whipped lotion, that like most of my blackheads are gone. Like it's really cleaned out my skin, which I'm loving. I very rarely ever have a blemish at this point. Very rarely ever have dry skin. I use it on my lips as I go to bed too, the either the whipped towel lotion or the nighttime lotion. And I just find that my skin is just soft all the time, even in the winter. This year I didn't have any issues at all in the wintertime. A lot of times my face gets really dry in the winter. And I
Hmm.
spend a lot of time outside too. I got a cold plunge. So I was using that even when it was like 12 degrees outside. I was intentionally taking my dog for more walks in the cold this year. And so I spent a lot more time outside in the winter than I usually do and didn't have any issues with my skin at all.
Oh, nice. Okay. Martha, so she's still wrapping her head around the apple cider vinegar and your curls. That's
I'm telling you,
amazing.
try it. Try it. If you think you have straight hair, you might not actually have straight hair. It might be wavy or it might be curly. It just has too much like stuff weighted down on it from over the years. That stuff
Uh,
just builds up.
Serena, do you have a video demonstrating? I I guess you'd
Um,
have to have a video in the shower then.
yeah. Oh, of my hair? Of
Yeah,
my
I think
hair?
that's what she's
Oh yeah, no.
asking. Yeah.
No, I'm not videoing myself in the shower. Gotta draw the line somewhere. No, I don't. But it's really simple. Just don't wash it, and then like once every 2 weeks or once every week, whatever you're comfortable with, just put some apple cider vinegar in it. You can get like I would get one of those. I use my squeezy lotion tube, but you can get like a travel shampoo bottle at the grocery store or at Walmart or whatever, and you
All
can
right.
fill
Yeah.
that with some apple cider vinegar and keep it in the bathroom so you can like I was using the jar for a long time. I would pour it in my hands and I would lose half of it as I was trying to. So now I put it in my little squeeze tube. You can buy those, like I said, at Walmart as a just to buy a travel one. Fill it with the apple cider vinegar. Keep that in the bathroom so you don't have to keep the whole jar in there. And then you can just kind of sprinkle that on your head. And I just let it sit for a couple of minutes while I wash my body and then rinse it out. And my hair is squeaky clean and soft. I'm telling you, like you put conditioner in it. It's amazing.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Okay. So, meat fan, could you use tallow bar soap instead of shampoo?
You certainly could. And there are some companies that make that. I don't have that product yet. I would like to make that at some point. I just haven't gotten into the bars yet. I have made a couple of batches and I just am not there yet. Like there's already so
Hmm.
many products on the website and I would love to be able to do a few more things. And that is kind of my plan for the summer at some point
Hmm.
while we're off of school is to make time to come up with some more products. And so I do hope to have those. And you certainly could do that. You just want to be sure that it's one that doesn't have a lot of extra ingredients in it. But why? I mean, just don't wash it. I mean, you're going to save money, right? The tallow shampoo bars are expensive. And so, I mean, I just feel like I'm buying less stuff, I'm using less
Hmm.
products. And so I really like just not washing it. But certainly you could do that if you can find a company that has it that you like, you certainly could do that.
Okay. Thank you. Um, Steph, have you ever made products with beeswax and tallow? Do you have thoughts on using beeswax with it?
Sure. So there's beeswax in my lip balm. It's beeswax and tallow, and there's an unscented and a scented version. And then I also have used beeswax in my candles, but that's the only place that I have the beeswax. I know that some of the other companies use it in their lotion. Again, I just don't think it's necessary. I'm really going for like one ingredient, like minimal ingredients in the products. I put the ingredients around the top of the label. I'm backwards here. It keeps confusing me. I put the ingredients, and I'd like to not put enough ingredients that there has to be two lines
Right.
around the outside of the label. So yeah, I'm going for minimal ingredients, and so I know that there are some other things that I could use in my products. I know that I could put beeswax, and like I said, a lot of companies do that, but I just don't really think it's necessary. The fat from the tallow already creates a barrier on your skin. I just don't think the beeswax is necessary. Um, just preference. My products are always going to be as few ingredients as I can get away with.
Perfect. Lisa would like to know if the apple cider vinegar bleaches your hair color at all. Has your hair color changed?
No, not at all. I've never heard that. I wonder if that's a thing. I've never heard that. I do have some gray like underneath, but that was
Yeah.
already there.
Hey, welcome to the club.
And I don't want to color my hair because
Yeah.
the fewest ingredients as possible. So
Yes. Yes.
yeah, I'm really
That's
trying to like simplify here, and not use a lot of products that I don't need. And so that's one of the ways. So.
yeah. Okay. This is from Glenn. Do you need to add essential oils in your tallow products to mask the mild natural smell of beef? Or maybe he's
Um,
asking why, or is that why
do I
you're
need
using
to?
them?
You'd be surprised. Actually, the unscented is probably our most popular one at this point. I would say, as far as the whipped tallow lotions go, I would say the unscented is the most popular. And I will always have an unscented version of every product that I can have an unscented version of. There's one product that I can't do unscented, and I have one for pain, for muscle aches and things like that, that has peppermint and wintergreen and things like that in it. So, and it also has emu oil, which is great for inflammation. And so I can't make that one in an unscented, but all of the products have an unscented version for the people who want that. And it's very, very rare that anybody complain about that. Somebody just said something this week, but I would say in 2 years, I guess is how long I've been making it, 2.5 years, something like that. I've only had 2 people ever complain about it. So you know what you're getting into. Most of the people that are going to order know that there will be a slight smell, but you forget about it. It goes away very quickly. No one is ever going to stop you. You're never going to be at a party and someone is going to say, "Why do you smell like beef?" But because it doesn't really smell like beef. It has a beef tallow smell, which does not smell like beef,
Yeah,
at
I
least in my
agree.
opinion.
I
And
mean,
so,
when I render my own tallow, even though I'm not doing all, I'm just boiling it off, I
right.
don't really smell beef on it
Right.
afterwards.
It's not a beef smell. It
No.
does have its own smell,
Yeah.
but it's really not that bad. It's hardly noticeable. But if you are concerned about that, then you definitely want the scented one. If you're going into this wondering, but you can check it yourself at home. Next time you make a steak in your air fryer, or next time you have some fat that hardens back up in a pan after you remove your meal from it, get a little bit of that fat, on your finger. You can rinse it under some cold water to get all of the beef juices off of it, and smell it and see what you think. You're not going to think that it smells bad. I mean, I'm 99.9% sure that you're not going to think that it
Hmm.
smells bad. And if you are concerned about that, then order one of the lightly scented ones. I mean, they're like I said, they're not strongly scented at all. Everything that's used is 100% natural. And most people that are allergic, like let's say you're allergic to lavender, most people are not allergic to the lavender essential oil because it doesn't come from the same part of the plant that
Oh,
typically people are allergic to.
oh,
And so
okay.
most of the time, now not all the time, but most of the time, it's not going to bother people. And again, they are so lightly scented that nobody is going to smell them and say, "Oh, that's too strong." But the essential oils do cover up the smell of the tallow a little bit, for sure.
Okay, great. Thank you. Julia, this is a great question. Does it matter what type of apple cider vinegar you use?
I wouldn't think so. I recently quit using Bragg's because I heard Bill Gates bought it. I'm not sure if that's
I've heard
actually
that
true.
too, and I have no
Yeah,
idea, but
yeah,
the reason I've always bought Bragg's, and imagine there's other ones, is because it has the mother in it.
yes, right,
So does
yes.
that
So
part matter with your hair?
I'm not sure. I did buy a
Okay.
replacement for Bragg's that did have the mother in it,
Okay.
and I always will, just because I know the mother, can be important. And so I guess I'm not positive about that. I actually ran out of apple cider vinegar, and I was going to try white vinegar this week and just see what it does. I don't know if it'll be good
Okay.
or not, but I'm going to try it and see.
Okay. Thank you, Julie. Dee Lee, do you find your product tones the face, skin, color, redness?
It certainly can, and it depends on what the redness is from. If the redness
Hmm.
is, a lot of people get redness on their skin and they don't realize it's irritation from the products that they're already using. So
Mm,
you stop using
that's
those
a good
products, and
point.
yeah, and a lot of it can clear up. And so I have gotten lots of reviews from people saying that their skin feels a lot different, that it looks a lot better. They feel like they look younger. I mean, I can't say yes, it tones. I don't have proof of that. I would love to say that it does. And I feel like my skin looks better than before I started using it. But I don't want to say, yes, it tones. It does have
Hmm.
collagen in it though, just on its own. It has lots of vitamins in it that are good for your skin. And so I do think that it does, but obviously I can't say
Mm-hmm.
that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But and there's a small jar, that you can buy to try it if you're, concerned about buying a bigger jar. There is a smaller jar on the website for people that are concerned about it, and you can certainly buy that one and then,
And that
try it and see
small
what you think.
jar lasts a long time. I'm
It
still
does.
using the same, it's like a sample jar, right? I'm still
I call it a
using,
sample. It's 1 ounce. It's a
yeah,
1 ounce jar. So
I'm
they
still
come in
using
two.
it. Like
Yeah,
it's
they come in two,
lasted,
4, and 8 ounce jars. And then
yeah,
we started selling a 1 ounce jar not long ago. It's
yeah,
only available in the lavender and the unscented. But that can certainly help if you're worried about any of these things and you're concerned. What if I don't like it? What if I don't like how it
yeah,
smells? You can certainly, just buy the smaller one and then see, what you think.
yeah. I think you're going to love it. I do. Ronnie would like to know what the pain cream is called.
It's called Pain Ease, and it's listed with the whipped tallow lotions because it is a whipped tallow lotion. It also has copaiba, some people call it copaiba, essential oil in it, which is great for pain. A lot of people compare it as far as the properties of that oil. The properties themselves are better than CBD oil if you look at the properties and how they work. And so it has the copaiba, it has peppermint, which is great for pain and reducing inflammation. It has wintergreen in it, and it has emu oil in it, and frankincense essential oil. And all of those things are great for reducing pain and inflammation. I've got a lot of good reviews on that one, and that one works really well. It does smell like, you know, it smells like peppermint. I mean, it smells like
Hmm.
what are those rubs called? Like the icy
Oh,
hot.
yeah,
It
yeah.
smells a little bit like that,
They all smell kind of
but
like menthol or something.
yeah,
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 yeah.
but it's not really, really strong, but it
Hmm.
definitely does smell like that. But I have heard from a lot of people that they really like that one and it helps. And a lot of it is the emu oil and the copaiba that are in there because they are both really so good at reducing those pain receptors and keeping things from hurting. So I've heard a lot of good results from people with like arthritis and if you go running and your calves hurt or whatever, you can rub it on. And you can actually do it if you have a problem spot that hurts a lot when you go
Hmm.
running or when you exercise, you can actually rub it on first and then it'll help you. And then as you start to sweat, it kind of reactivates it. So that makes that one come in really handy because you can put it on first and it'll start to help you when you need
Oh,
it, in the middle
nice.
of your run or your workout.
Nice. Okay, I think we have one more question here.
Okay.
It's from Annie. Have you found the tallow helps with crepe skin?
So that's really thin skin.
I
Is that right,
think I
Annie?
think so.
I think that's right. So, excuse me. I don't have any actual experience with that, so I can't say for sure. But I would think that it probably would. Like I said, it's definitely worth a shot. It has so many healing properties to it, where the vitamins are in the tallow and the collagen. I mean, I can't see, it certainly wouldn't hurt to try. I
It's
haven't actually
yeah.
seen anybody comment or review it with that, but it's worth a shot because of the collagen and the vitamins.
Yeah, I agree. I am loving it. I mean I'm 66. Of course I have some wrinkles now, but I
Of
find
course.
that I think my neck, I don't know if it's just in my head, but my neck is looking better and I'm
That's
really
awesome.
happy for that. And
I'm so glad.
oh,
So glad you
yeah.
like it.
I do. I love it. Didn't think I would love it as much as I actually love it, but I can't see myself
Yeah,
using anything else going
that's
forward. I
awesome.
mean, yeah, I'm
Thank
not
you so
buying
much.
anything from the store. And now I'm even thinking about damn putting apple cider vinegar in my hair. We're going to see. I'll let you guys know. We're
Sure.
dying down to the last couple of minutes here.
Okay.
So we have all of your contact links below, how they can order the tallow, how they can follow you on Instagram and on YouTube. What do you have any final words you'd like to say? You'd like people to know about you or Carnivore or your journey or anything like that? This is your moment here.
I think that I would like to give advice. If you're on the
Okay.
fence and you're not a carnivore, or if you're keto and very vegetable heavy, I would like to recommend 3 books and 2 bonus books. So the 3 really important ones are Nina Teicholz, The Big Fat Surprise. That book
Okay.
changed my life. I've listened to it on Audible 5 times. It really goes into like why we are so afraid of fat, how that happened, how Ansel Keys changed the world by saying he thinks fat is bad for us. I mean, that's literally how it started, and he was wrong. He fudged some studies that he did and cherry picked the ones that gave the outcome that he wanted, and he changed the world literally. And so I think that that's a really important book. And then Sally Norton's
Yes.
Toxic Superfoods is so
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
because the broccoli that you're eating, the spinach that you're eating, those vegetables that you think are so good for you, like, I'll just put it like this. One of the things that she says somewhere towards the end of the book, I think, and I'm paraphrasing here, but it's something like, what if all the things that we think are because we're getting old are really because of the foods we're eating?
Yeah.
And we think we're being healthy, right? So
Yeah.
that's what's so scary about it. So the arthritis, the osteoporosis, the brain fog, the dementia, the Parkinson's, what if that's actually from the foods that we're eating that we think are healthy? Like, I think
Agreed.
most people,
Agreed.
yeah, I think most people could say maybe those are from processed foods. Maybe that's from, the Twinkies, that I eat every day. Or I think most people could see that. But the idea that it could be from the spinach smoothies that you're eating to be healthier, that the arthritis, the pain in your joints, that those kinds of things could actually be caused by the things that we consider superfoods is really
Yeah.
scary
Yeah.
to me. And so I think that book is super important, all about the foods that we think we should be eating that we probably shouldn't be. And so I think that's a really important one. And then Ben Bikman's Why We Get Sick
Yes.
is
Yes.
such a good book. Insulin resistance is one of the greatest causes of illness for us. And so this book goes very in detail about insulin resistance, how it affects us, and why it makes us sick. And you might not think that you have an insulin problem, but most people do. And so reading that book can really help you. And once you've read those three, if you are thinking, okay, now what do? I want you to read The Carnivore Diet by Shawn Baker.
Mm-hmm.
I think that book is just an amazing book also, because it teaches you, does all the legwork for you on this thing that we are doing here.
Yeah.
This way that we are eating that so many people think is wrong and scary and bad. And it's saved our lives. And so I think once you've read those first three, your mind is open a little bit and you're thinking, wait a minute, could this possibly be true? I think you should read that book. And then Lies My Doctor Told Me by Ken Berry is another great book about things that your doctor says, and it's not your doctor's fault. I don't know if he says that in the book, but it's not your doctor's fault. It's
Right.
what they've been taught.
Yes.
They have very little nutrition training, just a few hours compared to all of the other hours that they have spent studying. Medicine does not teach them nutrition, and it takes about 20 years for current studies and current information to come to the front lines, to the forefront for your doctor's office. And the idea that those food guidelines are going to change anytime soon is probably very slim when you think about what it's going to take to do that. You're talking about nursing homes, the military, schools, daycare centers.
It's an uphill battle. I mean,
it's an
we
uphill
have to
battle.
be our
Hospitals.
own advocates.
Yeah, that's right. And so those 5 books, I mean, I say 3 because I really want people to read those first 3, but once your mind is open, read the other 2.
Yeah.
Because I think it really can change your life. And especially Nina Teicholz, but especially all of them. They're just amazing books. And those 5 books literally changed my life, along with trying it myself. So that's the other thing, is be your own N equals 1, right? Like, it doesn't matter what the studies say. The studies are funded by companies. They are paid for by pharmaceutical companies or big food companies. Like, be your own N equals 1. Like, how many diets, how many things have you tried without seeing the study? Because everybody wants to see a study. How many things have you tried? Juice fasting. You eat Oreos and Doritos and go to Dunkin' Donuts without seeing a study, right?
Yeah.
Give yourself 30 or 60 days on the most nutrient-dense foods. Meat and dairy, any kind of meat. It's not just red meat, any kind of meat. Don't forget seafood. Don't forget to widen those horizons, and eat all of the things that are animal products, and see for yourself. I mean, I think that's the best way for you to know whether or not it's going to work for you, is just try it. Wake up tomorrow morning, take it one meal at a time. Be really meat heavy. Eat lots of butter. Eat lots of eggs. You're going to change your life too.
Wow, thank you. Those are top-notch recommendations for the books. I highly recommend all of them as well. And thank you for saying it, Serena. And thank you so much for being here. I just really appreciate it. So it is time to say goodnight now. And thank you for spending your Sunday night with us. For Canadians, it's a long weekend. You guys get to still sleep in tomorrow and have fun tomorrow. And you guys have a long weekend next weekend, I understand. So
right, we do.
yeah, so Good night, everybody. Next Sunday night, we have Leo from Our Ancestors Foods here to talk about farming, regenerative farming. So thanks again, everybody. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Thanks for having me.